Guys, National Master James Canty III here, and today we got C3 Cecile for the kill. The C3 Sicilian, we're analyzing a game that I looked up. I'm going back and looking at games this year on ways I can just be better with the C3 Sicilian and analyzing things that I don't have that I'm working on with the course now. So if it's not in there, I'm trying to put it in there. So analyzing some games, I found some cool ones here, and actually I want to share this one with you guys today. So let's get right into it, guys. C3 Cecile for the kill. Here we go. In this game, I actually played white, of course, C3 Sicilian. I was 2532 rated at this time, Blitz on HeroChess.com, and the other guy was 2350. So all right, here we go. E4, C5, C3. So C3's played the usual stuff. He goes knight f6. This is one of the lines you can play. He also could have played d5 or e6 or d6 or g6. So he goes knight f6, which is one of the common things. After knight f6, we have e5 on the board. After e5 is there, this knight is attacked and you have to move it. So he plays knight to d5. This is still easy standard theory stuff. I'm not even thinking here. I basically have this stuff on pre-move. Knight f3, knight to c6. D4 is on the board, as I always do, and now we have one of the classic setups of the C3 Sicilian that I'm very familiar with. Pawn takes, and then G6. I was expecting E6 or D6. I'm always ready for this stuff, but he played G6, which is completely different. At this point, I think he's trying to combine 2 or 3 separate Sicilians. And the thing about the Sicilian, you cannot combine mini Sicilians. There's a thing like a Dragendorf, meaning like you can play a dragon or an accelerated dragon mixed with a Najdorf. So that means like you are playing G6 and you're playing A6 and B5, which usually doesn't happen in like both openings at the same time. So you can mix some Sicilians, but C3 Sicilian is not one you're trying to mix up. G6 is way far off what he's trying to do. If you have the knights out, you usually want to play more center play stuff. D6 or E6 is the best moves in this position. So it kind of threw me off. When he played G6, I already kind of knew this is kind of weird. Now, it's not bad, but I just don't like it. I don't think it's that good. I also could play stuff like bishop to C4, but he could always play E6. Not that I'm a big fan of it because I can capture and play knight C3 and attack this all day long, every day long. So knight e7, bishop g5, and bishop, I mean, this is gross. Queen b3, like this is hanging. There's a lot of problems here, for black's position. With that being said, though, after g6, what would you play here? And actually, if you can see it right here on the screen, I actually have the PGN up right here, so you can see the PGN right there. But if you're not looking at the PGN, what would you actually play here with the white pieces? Now, if you said knight to c3, you are correct. Knight c3 is my favorite move to make in these kind of positions, whether it's d6 or e6. Now, with e6, I usually go bishop to d3, or if I've been playing the person many times in the same position, I will do something different. But knight to c3 is my favorite, especially me. This is my first time playing this guy. So after knight to c3, he does capture it. And capture here, now I have a very strong center. I have a nice open file, half open. Really, it's kind of fully open, so not really half at all. But rook to b1 could be a thing. I also have bishop a3 if he does try, let's say, e6, which you shouldn't play e6 and g6 at the same time. Not all the time, but many times you should stay away from playing both of these unless you are ready to castle or you have both diagonals under control. Because if you do not, you will be in trouble. The problem is you cannot hold both diagonals with the bishop at the same time. So if you go to one diagonal, I take the other one. And if he goes this way, well, then I can play bishop h6. And then you can't have both diagonals at the same time. So that's a problem with e6 and g6. So, of course, I knew this, and he didn't play that. He played bishop to g7 here. So bishop g7, easy move to make. Seems fine. Now, let me ask you this, guys. I played out of the box here. I definitely was thinking outside of the box here. Definitely was thinking different from usual chess here. What would you actually do? You got moves like bishop e2, bishop d3. I mean, you even have bishop f4, so you can play d5. And rook b1. Rook b1's a nice move too, getting off of this long range pressure. Even though there's 3 pawns here, I always tell my students, be aware of the x-ray. I don't care if it's 5 pieces in between you guys. You need to make sure you get off of that diagonal or that file, whatever it is. You need to be very, very aware of this. So rook b1 is absolutely a move that you can make here. But I thought to myself here, and by the way, you can answer, you can just say what you think your move is in your head here, or pause the video and come back. But here I was thinking to myself, you know, I know he's going to castle this way. I know this because that's why he played bishop g7. And he's not going to castle this way because I automatically have, I mean, I just had an automatic attack. Automatic. I don't even know what the next moves are, but automatic, I'm just attacking him. So he's going to castle right into mate. But I know that he's casting this way. So what do you think I would do here? Especially dislodging this kind of stuff. So what I did, and you know, I didn't look at this with the engine, but of course the ideas wise, the idea here was for me to make it different for him. H4. I played H4 here. So pushing Harry the H pawn, shout out to Simon Williams. H4, I pushed him. So I'm going to play H5, especially if he castles immediately. I'm just going to play H5. And I'm actually not going to castle my king. My king is actually going to sit on F1. So it's something like castles, H5, maybe Queen A5 to be active, Bishop to D2, maybe like D6, and then maybe capture, and like Bishop D3. Rook check, yeah, I allow him to check me, but I can play King F1. As weird as this king is extremely safe here. Then I can go to G1 as well, and I can also still attack here. My knight can come to G5. There's a lot going on. A lot going on. Now, turning on an engine, actually, surprisingly enough, guys, the engine says it is equal here, but you should always have two evaluations. One of them should be the human evaluation. How would a human play this? And of course, the engine evaluation, which the engine sees everything. You may think that you're sacking the queen and it's great, but they're like, you're losing in 15 moves. That actually happened in a real game back in Millionaire Chess 2014. But I sacked the queen on a 2,500 FIDE rated player. I won the game, but the engine was like, ha, you thought you were clever. 15 moves down the line, you lost. And I was like, okay, well, thanks, engine. I won the game before then, so whatever. But at the end of the day, you should have two evaluations here. So H4 was what I chose in this line. It will throw you off, especially if you play with the black pieces. You don't face the C3 Sicilian as much. I'm also a Jedi, and I'm a monster with this opening. Black's under a lot of pressure here, and he doesn't even know it. So H4 is the move I chose. What did he play? He played D6. He's like, I'm going to play active. I need to get rid of the center. I talk about this a lot with my students. If you see a center, and there's actually two sides to a center. It's the person that has it, and it's the person that does not have it or needs to attack it. And the person that has it needs to defend this as much as possible or be very clever with it if you're going to give it up. And the person that doesn't have the center should be attacking this at all costs, like D6, F6, maybe after casting, but definitely moves like this. Now, after D6 is on the board, what would you play? C3 Sicilian for the kill. What would you play? This is the C3 Sicilian. This is monstrous stuff. We don't just take pawns and just act all regular and do regular chess here. We do the opposite. That's why we play the C3 Sicilian. Now, D6 is on the board. What would you play? I actually play E6. Drop the mic. Didn't even have a mic in my hand, but you know exactly what I mean here. E6 is on the board. There are two things that can happen here. He can even take with the bishop, either take with the bishop, or he can take with the pawn. E6. Wow, what a move, big fella. What a move. E6. If bishop takes E6, then I have D5. I'm forking both of these pieces. Wait a second. Bishop takes C3. Isn't that just a move? I mean, it is a move, and he's actually hitting me right here. Man, that looks like that hurts, right? But I have bishop to D2. So if you take my bishop, well, then of course I go right back into this. Nothing's wrong here. I'm totally fine. Now, he could just take the rook, because that's exactly what he wanted here. I could take on A1, threatening his rook, and also threatening to take the pawn as well. So, or threatening to take one of the pieces as well. I wonder here, is the queen takes A1 the best move, right? Yeah, so queen takes A1 is just better. Just wanted to make sure it wasn't one of these and then capturing on A1. But queen takes A1, hitting the rook. Once the rook moves, I'm going to take the bishop because it's worth more, and it's also like, it makes his pieces look extremely weird here. This is bad. This looks ugly. Knight G5 is coming. I still got my bishop. These two bishops are outdoing these rooks all day, every day. And then I'm even going castle, even though I played H4. But this is the line I was going for. Now, he didn't do this, actually. He actually took with the pawn because he saw this line. He's 2350 rated, probably even higher, but he was at 2350 at the time. He took this pawn on E6. And then what do you think you should do here? Now, this is one thing, guys. I'll give you a hint. When you see something like this, when you play H4, when you're trying to attack someone in these attacking kind of lines, you need to soften this up. So after D6, I play E6 knowing that if he takes with the bishop, he's going to be in trouble. But if he takes with the pawn, it softens this up, which allows what, class? Raise your hand and put it down. It should be H5. Absolutely. H5 is on the board. Now I'm going to bully this pawn, followed by bishop to D3. I also have H6 threats. Like, what happened here? This is not what we wanted out of the opening with the black pieces, and you don't know what to do. You might even be safer, honestly, as weird as this is, putting the king on D7 to avoid all of these tactics and monstrous stuff that's about to start aiming at him. So he goes e5. He's like, I'm going to play super active here. e5 is the move he chose. Now, I could capture this, but that's what he wants. So I actually played d5 to keep the momentum in my court here. d5, he either has to go backwards or go to a weird square, which is knight a5. And he did go knight a5. He doesn't really have a future here, and I can't exploit this right now because of the check here. Now, in previous C3 Sicilian videos, make sure you guys check out the playlist on the C3 Sicilian for the kill, because we do a lot of content on the C3 Sicilian, because that is my favorite opening. Wizard at it, and got courses coming out, writing a book on the C3 Sicilian, a lot of stuff like that, guys. So a lot of stuff is working, we're working on that. But knight to a5, queen a4 check, we can usually do this, and after bishop b7 you have the bishop b5 line stuff. But after b6 we can't take on e5, and usually there's a line that allows us to do that, and this just doesn't work, and everything's defended, and it just only looks good. Looks are very deceiving in chess. So after knight a5 I had to try something else here. I have other options, h6, but he can go bishop f6, bishop somewhere, maybe bishop d3. I mean, I could do this move, I really could, but I think bishop f5 was what I was annoyed about, because after bishop d3, bishop f5, and then we capture like bishop d3, bishop f5, right? And then takes. Honestly, you know what? I still have this hole here, so maybe not so bad, but I just didn't like this as much. I actually played knight g5 first. I'm just going to be annoying to him. I'm going to be extremely annoying, and maybe not knight to g5, but let me see what the engine likes here. The best move on the board, move number 1, actually is knight to g5. Wow, so the Jedi is definitely on. I'm definitely on fire. So I played knight to g5 here in this position. Knight to g5, and I also have intentions of checking and going knight e6 after blocking on d7. What happens? Queen to c7. What did I do? I checked him so I can go knight e6. That's exactly what this is about. Knight g5, we hit him with the check. He needs to go somewhere either with the king or block with the bishop. He chose blocking with the bishop. Now, guys, the C3 Sicilian for the kill, not for the softness, not for the shake my hand, let's play a good game of chess here. This is C3 Sicilian for the kill. How do you do it? What do you do? White to move. White to move here is knight to e6. This pawn is straight up hanging. You can take it right now. And exactly that's what he did. I'm going to take it. You're going to give it to me. I'm going to take it. Now, of course, I already saw this, so the Jedi was ready. Do you know how many pieces are hanging right now? Somebody count. Raise your hand. How many pieces are hanging right now? Really like 2, maybe 3 with this knight here. But definitely the queen is hanging. The knight is, and this is not technically hanging, but there's a lot going on, and it's hard to make good moves in a bad position, and this is exactly what's going on. The king's in the middle of the board, pieces looking crazy, there's stuff everywhere. This is exactly what I want in the C3 Sicilian. Bishop to d2, queen a3 is next. He moves out of the way. Now I have knight c7 check, I have knight takes g7, I have bishop takes d7. So I wonder what the engine plays here, and the engine plays exactly what I played, actually. Nice stuff. I have 2 moves here. So move number 1 is rook h3. Oh man, that's what I played too. I played rook to h3 because I was like, and I always remember this move. I call this like the Fabi move. I remember watching a Fabiano game. It might have been up against Magnus in the World Championship. I think it was, but he played rook h3. And it was in like a French type setup. Don't really remember, but I do remember that I gained, I grew some brain cells when I saw that move. I saw rook h3 and I was like, that was sweet how he developed his rook like that and was able to like make an attack from it. And I never forgot that. So rook h3 was the move here. I'm attacking the queen once again. You only have 1 move to go to, which is queen to b2. And that's what he played, queen to b2. Now, let me see what the engine says. I just want to see. Yep, and I played the right move here too. Nice stuff. Yeah, I was pushing tight this game, for real. I was pushing real tight. Queen to b2 is actually the move he played here. And then knight takes g7. Because I took this first because I said, you know what, there's a lot going on. When you have a lot going on, guys, the easiest way to get out of stuff, especially converting winning advantages, or if you do have some type of like, you just know you're better, right? So if you know you're better, a lot of times you just simplify, make it simple. How can I just clear the dust here and be up a piece? So I took this piece knowing that if he goes after this, I'm just going to come up a clean piece after taking on d7. So that's what I chose, the easy route, because there's a lot going on. Should I take this and then take this and then like play h6 to keep my knight, or like do I take this and try to mate him with queen a4, but then there's b5, but then my rook's hanging? What? Wait, what? You know, this is wild. This knight's hanging, but should I take it? Do I play rook b1 again and then maybe let him take on a2, then take, and then maybe like bishop takes a5 for rook takes b7, or take on like, you know what? Let's just stop all of this right now. Let's make it very simple. And don't give him any counterplay. Maybe we don't have any chance of slipping here by just simplifying. Knight takes g7, king f7, bishop takes d7, and leaned back real hard, turned off my lightsaber as he dropped to the ground, and he resigned here. Bishop takes d7, and he resigned. Now, going through this again, from the beginning, regular C3 Sicilian for the kill stuff. Make sure you guys check out the playlist on the C3 Sicilian that we have here on the channel. Knight f6, e5, knight d5, knight f3, all common stuff. d4, pawn takes, pawn takes. Now, usually you can play bishop c4 in these lines, guys. I am just not a bishop c4 player, but you'll see it all the time. Even I checked the database literally today. I'm always looking at C3 Sicilian stuff. I just checked the database, and I was like, nobody. It's almost like I created my own C3 Sicilian in a way. There's like no games. There are not many, but there's some games that don't. That most of them go bishop to c4. Now, of course, right next to me, right here. Hold on. Here you go. Look at the camera. Bam. There it is. You actually can't see it. Green screen. Green screen. Here we go. All right. C3 Sicilian. The complete C3 Sicilian. It's actually a yellow book. So green screen, yellow book. Kind of weird how it looks on the camera there. But it's the C3 Sicilian. The complete C3 Sicilian. I always have it right next to me at all times. Even showering. Even in the bathroom. I have this book next to me, C3 Sicilian, complete. Now, I went through this book many times, and I've seen that they go bishop d3, bishop c4, anywhere else, all the time. You'll see these kind of moves happen. And there's options to make. And I chose the bishop d3 options more over the bishop c4 options because people anticipate this one more than everything else. So I'm always prepared for this. But after g6, I played knight to c3, my usual stuff. And takes, bishop g7, I played h4. This is almost like a novelty here. It's just like, I know he's going to castle this way, so I want to scare him, see what he does. Make him play h5, make some more weaknesses around the king, especially if you're going to castle this way. All right, d6, e6, my favorite move on the board was actually e6. And then after capturing, I played h5 and was able to break through. e5, d5, knight a5, knight g5. Queen c7, check, because you're either going to move your king or you're going to allow me to play knight e6. Bishop d7, knight e6, you can't take this due to the pin. And if you take this, obvious reasons, I just take the queen. Just start a new one, make it simple for all of us. Knight e6, queen takes c3, bishop d2. So you don't take this rook at all, your queen's under attack, and everything's in the shambles here. Queen a3, rook h3, hitting the queen, also developing. So maybe if mate threats eventually if the king ever gets here, and etc. Rook h3, queen to b2, knight takes g7, king f7, bishop takes d7, and the game was over. This is the C3 Sicilian for the kill. Many more games like this that you guys will see here on the channel, and stuff I'm going to put into the course as well that will not be here on the channel, but thank you so much, guys, for watching. If you like what you saw today, make sure you put some comments under the video, like the video, share it, subscribe. I really appreciate that, guys. Get the watch time hours up here for the channel so that we can monetize the channel and all that other good stuff. But you guys are awesome. I really appreciate you guys watching the video. I hope you learned today from the C3 Sicilian for the kill. And that's it for today's video, guys. I'll see you on the next one. We in here.